Ever wonder why some jokes just make you howl with laughter, while others fall completely flat? You hear one punchline, and you're gasping for air, tears streaming down your face. Then another joke, same comedian, similar setup, but crickets. What's happening in those moments? It's not just about the comedian's timing or your mood that day. There's a fascinating science behind what makes a punchline truly land, involving cognitive biases, cultural context, and that perfect, unexpected twist. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the anatomy of humor, revealing the psychological triggers that elevate a good joke to an absolute side-splitter. Get ready to never look at comedy the same way again. Let's start with the surprise catalyst, the fundamental ingredient in almost every successful joke. There's a psychological concept called incongruity resolution theory, and it's basically the secret formula of humor. Here's how it works. Your brain is constantly making predictions about what comes next. When you hear a joke setup, your mind automatically fills in the expected conclusion. But then the punchline arrives and completely subverts that expectation, forcing your brain to suddenly shift gears and reinterpret everything you just heard. That cognitive whiplash, that moment of mental recalibration, creates pleasure. It's why the classic joke structure works so effectively. A setup establishes a pattern or expectation, and the punchline demolishes it with an unexpected twist. Master comedians are experts at misdirection, leading your brain down one path while preparing to yank it in a completely different direction. The bigger the gap between expectation and reality, the harder the laugh. This is why the best jokes aren't just surprising. They're surprisingly logical once you understand the twist, creating that satisfying aha moment. But surprise alone doesn't guarantee laughter. This is where cognitive biases enter the equation. Your brain comes preloaded with beliefs, assumptions, and cultural conditioning that dramatically affect what you find funny. Confirmation bias plays a huge role in humor. Jokes that align with your existing beliefs or worldview tend to land harder because they feel validating. When a comedian voices something you've always thought but never articulated, the laughter is part recognition, part relief. This is why humor often plays on stereotypes and shared cultural references. They provide common ground, a set of mutual assumptions between comedian and audience. Everyone in the room understands the reference, so the punchline hits collectively. But here's the complicated part. This same mechanism has a dark side. Biases that make some jokes hilarious to certain audiences can make those same jokes offensive or completely incomprehensible to others. The line between clever observation and harmful stereotype can be razor thin, and it depends heavily on who's in the room and what assumptions they carry. Which brings us to context, arguably the most underestimated factor in humor. The exact same joke can kill in one setting and die in another. Social environment matters enormously. A joke that works in an intimate comedy club might bomb in a corporate conference room. Audience composition changes everything. Age, background, shared experiences all influence what resonates. Timing and delivery are equally crucial. The pause before a punchline, the slight change in vocal tone, a perfectly timed facial expression. These micro-elements can be the difference between laughter and silence. Comedy is as much about the spaces between words as the words themselves. And then there's cultural nuance. Humor is deeply tied to language, context, and shared societal understanding. Jokes that destroy in one country might not even translate to another, not just linguistically, but conceptually. Cultural references, taboos, and communication styles all shape what's considered funny, which is why some of the best international comedians are essentially cultural translators. Beyond structure and context lies something more fundamental, the empathy engine of humor. The jokes that truly resonate aren't just clever or surprising, they tap into universal human experiences. When a comedian describes a frustration or awkward situation you've personally experienced, the laughter comes from recognition. Yes, that exact thing happened to me. This is why self-deprecating humor is so powerful. When someone vulnerably shares their own flaws, failures, or embarrassing moments, it creates connection. We're laughing with them, not at them, and in doing so, we feel less alone in our own imperfections. There's actually a therapeutic aspect to this kind of humor. Laughter becomes a coping mechanism, a way to process difficult experiences collectively. When we laugh together at shared struggles, we bond through vulnerability. Now let's talk about what's happening biologically. When you laugh at a great joke, your brain floods with dopamine and endorphins, the same feel-good chemicals associated with other pleasurable experiences. This is why humor is literally addictive. Your brain craves that chemical reward. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for complex thinking and social behavior, lights up during joke processing, working to resolve the incongruity and make sense of the unexpected twist. It's cognitive exercise, disguised as entertainment. The fascinating thing is how individual this process is. The same neurological pathway activates in everyone, but the intensity varies wildly. Your personal history, your current emotional state, your relationship with the comedian, all of it modulates your response. Looking ahead, neuroscience continues to unlock humor's mysteries. Researchers are mapping exactly which brain regions activate during different types of jokes, exploring how humor helps with everything from pain management to social bonding. We're discovering that laughter isn't just a response to comedy, it's a complex social and biological phenomenon that's fundamental to human connection. So the next time a joke makes you laugh until you can't breathe, remember, it's not just funny. It's a perfectly executed psychological operation that hijacked your expectations, activated your biases, leveraged cultural context, connected to your experiences, and flooded your brain with pleasure chemicals. That's the real reason some jokes are funnier. And honestly, that makes them even more hilarious.